Hey everybody, welcome to This Monstrous Life. I'm Frank Dietz, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the best sci-fi movies of the 1950s. I call this Anti-Raid, a celebration of them. We'll start with the basic plot of the movie. Okay, in a remote part of New Mexico, Police Sergeant Ben Peterson, played by James Whitmore, and his partner discover a young girl wandering alone in the desert in a state of shock. A few miles from there, they find a demolished trailer home littered with bloodstained clothing and odd animal tracks. The mystery deepens when a local storekeeper is found slaughtered and pumped full of formic acid. Guarding the crime scene, Peterson's partner is attacked by the same whatever that killed the owner. Something terrible is happening in the desert. So government agent Bob Graham, played by James Arness of The Thing, is brought in to investigate. Now, Gordon Douglas's 1953 thriller Them begins as a murder mystery, but quickly evolves into a taut science fiction masterpiece. Now, warning, tell you right now, there's going to be spoilers ahead. So Peterson and Graham are instructed to meet with two experts who are flying in from the Department of Agriculture. Elderly Professor Medford, Edmund Gwenn, who you might know as Santa Claus from Miracle on 34th Street, and his beautiful daughter, Pat, played by Joan Weldon, have seen the impression taken of the tracks found at the murder site and have a frightening theory. Visiting the little girl at the hospital, Medford gives her a whiff of formic acid, which jolts the child out of her trance and sends her screaming into the corner, screaming, "Them! Them!" Still keeping their theory close to the vest, Medford and Pat ask to see the location of the destroyed trailer. Arriving at the site during a sandstorm, Pat wanders away from the group looking for more tracks. A high-pitched chirping noise is heard louder and louder, and finally, the source of their fears is revealed. A giant ant, as big as a pickup truck, attacks Pat. Graham and Peterson gun down the beast, saving Pat and providing a specimen for the scientists to examine. Now, Medford determines that the ants are mutations created as the result of the first atomic bomb test in 1945. Because of the savage nature of these insects, the professor warns that they could wipe out the human race if not destroyed quickly. Searching the desert by helicopter, they discover the entrance to a tremendous anthill. Enlisting the aid of Army General O'Brien, who was played by Onslow Stevens, who also played the kindly Dr. Edelman in House of Dracula. He actually cured the Wolfman, at least for one movie. And they bombard the entry with cyanide gas. Armed with gas masks and flamethrowers, Graham, Peterson, and Pat rappel into the nest to make certain that all of the ants are dead. They are attacked by a few surviving ants, which they kill with fire. Unfortunately, two queen ants manage to escape and fly off with their male consorts. Now the heroes must find the queens before they can birth another colony of the deadly insects. A battleship at sea is overtaken by the mutant ants, and the military has the vessel destroyed. Medford speculates that one of the queens hatched a nest in the cargo hold while the ship was docked. That still leaves one fertile queen alive somewhere in the Southwest. Peterson and Graham travel to Los Angeles to investigate the theft of 40 tons of sugar, which provides clues to the hiding place of the queen. A nutty old coot claims to have seen big ants through the window in the drunk ward. Graham alerts Medford and O'Brien that the ants have infiltrated the storm drains of the LA riverbed, which is essentially a big cement anthill. They also learn that two young boys have run into the tunnels to escape the creatures. Now, Peterson, who is oddly still part of the investigation that the government has taken over, doesn't really make sense, discovers the kids still alive but trapped by the advancing ants. The sergeant gets them to safety, but is tragically killed by one of the monsters. Graham and the soldiers discover the just hatched nest of new queens in the tunnel. With Medford's approval, they burn all the remaining ants and their eggs. The mutants are destroyed, leaving Medford to ponder what other horrors may be awaiting us in this new atomic age. Well, the answer to that is giant tarantulas, praying mantids, grasshoppers, wasps, Gila monsters, colossal men, and the occasional dinosaur. The 1950s were flooded with the subgenre of radiation-altered insects and reptiles, but them remains the caviar in the big bug picnic basket. The ants may be full-size practical puppets, but the results are extremely effective, especially interacting on camera with the human actors. They are far more convincing than the superimposed real insects used by many 50s sci-fi films like Beginning of the End, which, by the way, starred James Arness's real-life brother Peter Graves, or any of the Burt I. Gordon giant monster flicks like Earth vs. the Spider. By the way, a movie I also really like. It's fun. The use of sound in them is one of its many strong points. Early on, the screaming desert winds help set the stage for the carnage to come. The most iconic sound is that of the ants, whose eerie, piercing chirps signal their imminent arrival for the audience. The story was written by George Worthington Yates, who would go on to scribe a half-dozen subsequent Atom Age monster flicks, none of which would reach the bar set by this particular film. The dialogue is crisp and delivered with natural ease by the ensemble of lead actors, and it's always fun to watch Whitmore subtly upstaging his co-stars, but his heroic death in the last act is simply heartbreaking. While Whitmore sneakily steals scenes whenever he can, it's Edmund Gwenn who steals the show as the lovable curmudgeon professor. It's a role very similar to the one played the same year by his real-life cousin, Cecil Kellaway, in The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Them also gives us a variety of great character cameos as a bonus. Bess Parker shows up as an exasperated eyewitness, Leonard Nimoy as an army sergeant, William Schallert as a medic, and Richard Deacon as a reporter. And fans of the original Blob will certainly recognize Olin Howland as the loony lush crying, "Make me a sergeant, charge the booze, make me a sergeant to charge the booze." While the ending may be satisfying for a monster movie, the message relayed by Professor Medford clearly iterates the consequences of man entering the atomic age. The ants may have been defeated this time, but who can tell what other mutated horrors await the human race? Them is solid entertainment on every level, from the atmospheric cinematography to Bronislaw Kaper's dynamic score. It's really quite good. The movie consistently hits the right notes. Director Douglas does a nice job of building the suspense and peppering it with small doses of character-driven humor. In the history of fantastic cinema, this is one film that truly deserves to be called a classic. So check out Them if you haven't already seen it, or if you have, check it out again. It's worth watching. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video review. If you liked it, please like it, and please subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I plan to do a lot more of these, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Until then, Frank out.